the first aspect, what is the understanding of the worshipping the Sri Chakra? A detailed understanding with this Shastric grounding. Sri Chakra or the Sri Yantra is not treated in our tradition as a lucky symbol, which is predominantly happening in today's times, or it is not merely a geometry of various matrices. It is understood as a complete map of reality. When I talk about reality, reality means tattva, and a ritual body, that is Archana Sharira. It is a Archana Sharira of Devi herself, particularly Sri Lalita Mahatripurasundari. What worship is for in a traditional sense? In terms of Shastra, worship is puja and upasana. For what reasons? The first one, Chitta Shuddhi, that is purification and steadiness of mind. Number two, Samskara Parinama, that is repatterning habits and tendencies. And number three, Shakti Sanchara or Shakti Prabodha, that is awakening and directing inner power with discipline. And number four, Dharma, Artha, and Kama and Moksha, that is worldly harmony plus spiritual ascent. And the final point is ultimately Devi Sakshatkara, a living essence of the divine, not just the belief. So these are the foundations for why we involve in upasana, any upasana for that fact, and specifically in terms of the yantra upasana. These are the aspects of chitta shuddhi, samskara parinama, sakti sanchara, dharma, artha, and kama, moksha to be in that framework and ultimately to attain Devi Sakshatkara. So why Sri Chakra is special, students? Why there is this huge hype about, the Sri Chakra and the understanding behind the Sri Chakra. Sri Chakra is unique because it carries three layers simultaneously. What are the three layers? The first one is darshana, that is metaphysics. Darshana here means expressing the non dual idea. That is, Shiva is pure consciousness and Shakti is the creative power, and they both are inseparable in nature. In reality, it is nothing but spirit versus the matter, but it is about in one continuum where the absolute is also becoming the part of the world or is the world in itself actually. And number two, mantra, yantra, and devata unity. In Tantra, devata is approached through mantra, that is the sound form, yantra, that is the space form, and puja, that is the action form. So there are three forms are there, students: sound form, space form, and action form. So the Sri Chakra is a concentration body. It's a concentration body of Devi's space. So worship is a way to train attention so that the mind becomes capable of holding the sacred presence. And number three, avarna wise, inner psychology or the sadhana map. The avarnas, there are 9 avarnas are there in the Sri Chakra. I have spoken about that in the foundations. I'll be speaking about that in this class also and in the future in much more detail. So the avarnas are 9 layers within the Sri Chakra, and they are having what is called as an inner psychology connecting with the human self, or what we call to be the sadhana map. The avarnas are actually the layers of cosmos. They are the layers of the body and prana, and layers of the mind, that is desire, fear, identity, speech, and will. And these layers are actually surrounding us with devotion and ultimately leading us to Sharanagati or surrender. So the use of the Sri Chakra, if I have to put quote unquote the use, is not a single benefit. It is a complete sadhana technology that is spiritual, psychological, ethical, and devotional. And that's the reason the worship of Sri Chakra becomes very prominent since time immemorial and even in today's time. Moving forward, what does Pratishtapana means and how these rituals are meaningful? Pratishthabana is literally means to establish, setting firmly. But in ritual logic, it means taking the object, that is yantra, murti, or meru, from being a material form to becoming a ritually alive seat, that is an asana of the devata for worship. Why this is meaningful and not superstitious is because our ritual tradition says that the sacred presence is not forced, it is invited, hosted, and stabilized and maintained. And that is what is prana pratishtha is all about. And prana pratishtha can be even to the simplest of the sense, lighting a lamp at home, which we do every day, with wick, ghee, and all the aspects, we establishing the fire, like and in even the small puja setup that we have, at home, like what is that? We create a consistent and a respectful environment so that the mind and the prana respond accordingly to the higher dimensions and spaces, because we constantly need the higher dimensions to correlate with us, to interact with us, so that we receive what is called as wisdom, and from wisdom we reach the different dimensions. So, wow, what kind of activation we are talking about? Really, what it means in a sober way. It is nothing but the traditions talk about activation is not a magical switch. Activation or the prana pratishtha means three things here: sankalpa and adhikara. Number one, what is sankalpa and adhikara? A clear intention, a right eligibility, and discipline. Number one. Number two, Shuddhi, purification of the place, body, and mind so that the worship is stable and respectful. And number three, Samskara, that is repeated correct practices, establishes a field of sacred habit. So these are the three reasons, foundations for why we actually wanted to activate a particular energy in terms of the Pratishtapana. So, therefore, Pratishtapana ultimately means to create a ritual order, that is a rhythm, and minimizes the the casualness that we have in our life. And number three, to establish an ongoing relationship rather than an occasional usage. So these are the three reasons why the Pratishtapana actually matters to us. Number three, why what is Śrīkrama? Why follow procedures actually? Śrīkrama means the systematic sequence of the Sri Vidya worship, especially the Navāvaraṇa puja, that is the worshipping of the nine enclosures in the Sri Chakra. Krama is crucial in Tantra because sequence trains the mind and protects the practitioner from number one, confusion, number two, ego inflation, number three, random mixing of mantras, and number four, unstable practices. And that is the reason we need what is called as a krama, because a krama is a systematic established procedures which is given to us by the tradition, which we follow as it is, and we try to imbibe them and move forward with the understanding. And why procedures are emphasized, students? Procedures are emphasized because in Shastra, procedures are not mere rigid understanding on its own. Procedures are given because number one, it is a safety rail for the psyche and the prana. Number two, it is a transmission container, that is a sampradaya rakshana. And number three, it is a way to keep worship aligned with the personal in intentions, or the personal invitation to the deity. Let me put it in this way. Think of it in this manner. Music, you can improvise only after you know the ragam and the talam. Medicine, the dosage and the sequence matters. And in any fire ritual, including when you handle the kitchen, the stove in the kitchen, we need to handle with caution. So what it is actually? So it is a way in which we are approaching in a particular manner so that we utilize the benefits, but we don't overdo it actually. So that is what is the Krama all about. So therefore, Devi is approached from the outer world to the inner sanctum and then returned as a blessing into the daily life. So this is in sum total of what is Krama, particularly Śrīkrama. I'll be talking about that a little more in detail in the end. But Krama is nothing but established set of procedures which we need to follow so that the unveiling of the results are properly enclosed or derived as given in the Shastras and as followed by the sadhus and the parampara. Number four, very interesting, I guess, to most of us. If I don't follow the procedures, will the Sri Chakra energies not be activated? Here is the most authentic way to answer this without fear based claims, I guess. Number one, what still works even without complex procedures? Even without initiation, students, respectful devotion can bring real benefits. How? The respectful devotion means steadiness, developing or dwelling in sattva qualities, the clarity that we have, or the sankalpa shakti that we have, the procedure or the protection through the dharma, and the gradual devotional connection. So Devi actually responds to bhava, that is sincerity. But bhava must be paired with maryada, that is proper boundaries. In Sri Vidya specifically, some aspects are mantra dependent and lineage dependent. Certain mantras and certain nyasas are not generic. They assume diksha, guru upadesha, and internal preparedness. So if you skip the procedures and do advanced parts casually, the risk is usually not a curse, but the risk is actually confusion, inconsistent results, anxiety or restlessness, or ego stories like, I am powerful now, I know everything now. So that kind of an aspect, and mixing incompatible mantras and methods. So, therefore, it is better to follow the systems and the procedures as laid and explained by the teacher. Number three, the best teaching frame. Non initiated students, particularly, keep it devotional, simple, and sattvic. And initiated students follow the krama given by your guru and their lineage. So it is not that nothing happens, quote unquote, that nothing happens. It is the deeper technical layers of Sri Vidya that are designed to unfold under a guided container. Clear to all of you? Now let me go to the next section. What do Lalitopakyanam, Tantra Loka, Parasurama Kalpasutras, and other texts talk about Sri Chakra? Let me tell you before getting into this, I will be dealing with each of these texts detail as we progress in our learning in our Mahavidyalaya. What is Lalit? Like the detailed classes will be going on in all these aspects. So now a kind of an overview, let's understand. What we need to do understand here is different texts belong to different regions and lineages. So their emphasis varies broadly. Lalitopakyanam or Lalita Mahatmyam within the Brahmanda Purana tradition explains that it establishes Lalita Tripurasundari as a supreme Devi in Sri Vidya traditions and presents the Sri Chakra and Sri Nagara imaginary into a mytho-theological way of understanding the supreme reality. And number three, it emphasizes the Lalita Sahasranama, the devotion and the grandeur of Devi to be the entire cosmic rule. And the Parasurama Kalpasutra, it is more about procedural and ritual techniques that talks about. It gives structured directions for Sri Vidya Upasana, including Krama, puja details, and ritual logic. And in many traditions, the Parasurama Kalpasutra is treated as a key manual for how to do things properly. And we in our Mahavidyalaya also we follow the Parasurama Kalpa Sutra for the entire rituals or the manuals or the guidance in which the Sri Chakra Pratishtapana will be taking place, and followed by all the rituals that we will be performing, the Sri Chakra Navāvaraṇa pujas, which weekly all our students will be performing, as they learn to progress in the worship of Sri Chakra. They will be invited to the Peetham and they will be performing the Sri Chakra Navāvaraṇa pujas. Moving forward, the Tantra Loka of Abhinavagupta, a vast Shaiva Tantric philosophical framework, it talks about the values. It provides the Tantric metaphysics of mantra, Shakti, initiation, and liberation. The why behind the ritual technology. This is not primarily how a Sri Chakra puja to be performed. That is not Tantra Loka talks about, but it helps us to ground Tantra as a serious path and not as a folk magic. And believe me, students, if we are very serious in our approach towards Shastras, particularly the Tantra Shastras, understanding, reading, about Tantra Loka of Abhinavagupta is very important. And in the upcoming months, we will be learning Tantra Loka of Abhinavagupta with the blessings of the Guru Mandalam. And if I have to talk about a little bit on the other aspects of the Sri Vidya traditional sources, the Vamakeshwara Tantra, the Yogini Hridaya, the Tripura Rahasya, or the Nitya Shodashika Varna, they all discusses the meaning of the Sri Chakra, the mantra body theology, and the Avarna Devatas framework. In fact, I have designed this entire lecture based on the understanding that I have derived over the years of understanding and learning from these texts. And the key point for all of you is that these sources give us both bhakti and vision and the tantric understanding, that is the method plus the technology. The technology for connecting with the Sri Chakra at the outer level and also at the inner level. So this is what the framework that we get from our Shastras. Now, number 6, the next point. Why there is a huge craze for Sri Vidya and Sri Chakra today? What is the secret of Sri Chakra? A non-sensational answer I'm going to give you all, like the reasons it attract people today. Number 1, it is householder friendly. Unlike some paths that demand renunciation, Sri Vidya traditionally supports the Grihastha life, work, relationships, while it also offers liberation. Number 2, integration. It does not reject the world, it sacralizes it. And number 3, structured practice. People feel that they are heard, they can associate, they could be understood, and they have a clear space in which they can follow certain systematic procedures or rituals, or the kramas or the avarnas or the upasana, what we call, which is both healing, which is both appealing to the visuals, which is both, it is connecting with all the sense organs, and it binds you with a community of the same practitioners. And the next point, embodied spirituality, which means it works with speech, breath, mind, beauty, and devotion. That's what I just mentioned. And it's not just an abstract philosophy. And the last point is the psychological resonance, which means that the Sri Chakra looks like the mind itself, layers crossing the center so that it naturally becomes a meditation object. The secret. What is the secret? It is not a hidden trick, students. It is the Sri Chakra is a disciplined way of training attention until Devi is experienced at the heart and reaching the Sahasra actually. And it is both connecting, when I'm talking about reaching the heart and connecting with the Sahasra, I'm talking about experiencing in parallel with both the inner life and the outer life. So when attention becomes steady, life becomes to feel meaningful. And that is what is called as the power of this worship of the Sri Chakra or the Sri Vidya. Number 7 question. Can I worship all devatas in the Sri Chakra or only Lalita? In most of the Sri Vidya lineage students, Sri Chakra is primarily the seat of Sri Lalita Mahatripurasundari, and the Sri Vidya deities are the Avarnas. What are the Sri Vidya deities and Avarnas? We have to look into it as we progress into advanced classes. And the next point is other devatas can be respected, but the chakra's main identity is as Lalita Yantra only. But there are also other lineages in which within Sri Chakra, most of the devatas are invoked and they are worshipped. And that is also accepted in a different dimension. But on a predominant way, a Sri Chakra is actually a Lalita Yantra. There's a huge, I can talk about one of the analogy here, like a university has many departments, you imagine or understand from this way, but it still has one central administration and one vice chancellor only. So likewise, you can honor many devatas, but Sri Chakra worship is specific to the devata structure which is present within the yantra. So, in a broader sense, we can offer salutations to any aspect of the divine, within the Sri Chakra. But if we have to talk about in terms of specific understanding, the Navāvaraṇa Devata Krama, it is not generic, but it is specific to the Lalita Mahatripurasundari and her associated deities. Are Dashamahavidyas connected to Sri Chakra? This is the next question. And how? Well, there are meaningful connections, but they must be explained very carefully, actually. It is not a very easy thing to understand, but there are a very nuanced understanding. But here in the foundations, I would like to tell you that Sri Vidya or the Lalita Tripurasundari Devata is sometimes seen as the Shri aspect within the Mahavidya stream, especially because Tripurasundari is one of the 10 Mahavidyas. But some traditions map Mahavidya energies to be the aspects of the Sri Chakra or the related yantras, but not all lineages do this. And it can become internet mixing very quickly. That is what the internet talks about. But let me tell you, each of the devatas have their own yantra, their own avarana pujas, their own matrices of understanding, and it is not the right way to mix all the devatas in one aspect within the Sri Chakra itself, though it gives a space for us actually. The same way, Lalita Tripurasundari can be invoked in a different dimension with Kali, Tara, Bhairavi, Chinnamasta in their yantras. So it is all nuanced understandings actually, and it depends upon the Krama, on the Guru who is teaching it, based purely on the Guru and how the invocation is basically done. So the understanding is very simple. Lalita Tripurasundari's Mahavidya is directly connected to the Sri Chakra, and the broader understanding of the Dashamahavidya within the Sri Chakra mapping depends on the lineage and the teacher. This is what is very important. The next question is initiation required for Sri Chakra worship? Without initiation, what can I do? To answer this, yes, initiation is required for full Sri Vidya mantra practice. For Sri Vidya mantras, especially the core mantras and Avarna pujas and the kramas, Diksha is traditionally required because mantras is not only words, it's a disciplined transformation. It is linked to nyasas, mudras, and internal methods, and it demands ethical and lifestyle steadiness. So, without initiation, what you can do is actually, we can still be, we can, as I mentioned, we can have a safe, sattvic, and a devotional practice. We keep the Sri Chakra, if at all you have a Sri Chakra at your place, you keep it in a respectful manner, you regularly clean the yantra, you give a space for it, and not keep in a cluttered way in the puja room among so many other things that you have, you make a space for it in a proper way. Do the basics like lighting the lamp and offering some simple naivedya, a namaskara, a short prayer that you can offer, including the aspect of Shri Matre Namaha, Shri Lalitaye Namaha. You involve in these aspects, in terms of the energy transmission, and you learn to chant Lalita Sahasranama between Lalita Sahasranama classes as starting in our Mahavidyalaya. If you don't know, kindly please learn the Lalita Sahasranama. And it is also like, you further you get into different, as you progress, and you learn from a guru, you have diksha, you perform Lalita Trishati, you understand Lalitopakyana, or the Lalita Mahatmyam that we call, and you involve what is called a Shuddha Bhakti. and you lead a dharmic life actually, which is very important. That is truthfulness, restraint from unnecessary activities and thought patterns, which is very difficult, but that is what is important. Compassion, this is also Tantra, students. Let me tell you that in a very mature manner, Shuddha Bhakti plus Dharma is equal to Tantra in itself, because that is a secret. And many of us cannot follow that secret. Tantra is all about secret. If I can follow my own aspect of my life, that is the biggest secret, actually. And you reveal that secret to others, to the next generations. And that is the best part. Whether when they take it, that is right. When they don't take it, it is still fine, actually. So for the beginner, the key principle that I'm talking here is Shastra Adhyayana is very important, students. Unless and until we don't have clarity on what the texts are talking about, unnecessary getting into mantras and initiations and everything can be very, very cumbersome, actually. And you have mantras and you give up mantras, and then you don't practice mantras and then you keep looking for different things. They have a very different effect on us, actually. So it's better for a beginner, I would say, that the Shastra Adhyayana plus bhakti plus daily discipline is the correct activation. Now, the next question, actually, maybe it is resonating with so many of them. I have a Sri Chakra at home. I am new. How should I approach it? Or should I buy a new one since I started understanding all these things? If you already have one at home, do not jump for Navāvaraṇa Puja. That is what is my understanding that I would give. But you systematize your worship, that the cleanliness, lighting the lamp, simple offerings, respectful chanting, and the scriptural study, you involve in this first, actually. Then if you have to do the Avarna Pujas and other things, Patra Sadhanam, Avarna Pujas and the other Kramas, if you have to really do, Devi will take you there, actually. You understand what I'm trying to say? So get involved in a disciplined manner first. With you establish an interaction with the Sri Chakra. What is your interaction with Sri Chakra? Are you able to interact with Sri Chakra every day? When I'm talking about interaction, it's not like having like a cup of coffee with Sri Chakra. Hey, Sri Chakra, can we have a cup of coffee together? No. I'm talking about in these prescribed aspects, actually. That is the way I'm talking about interaction. So, how systematic you are in your interaction, because sadhana needs consistency and discipline, actually. And then the internalization takes place, actually. A lot of internalization takes place. So, this is something very important. So, those who are all having Sri Chakra at home, and looking for what to do, this is my best advice I would do, like, and learn the scriptures in a very systematic manner. And then whether you need mantra initiation, whether you need to learn further techniques and everything, they we will unveil as the time will progress. Now, the next question, should I buy a Sri Chakra? The answer is, if I am going to say no, also, you will end up going and buying it from the shop, actually. So it's like, but the answer is, if you feel genuine devotion and you can maintain the respect and the daily discipline that I'm talking about, in a simple, well made way, a Sri Chakra is fine. But please understand, don't treat that as a product for results. If you have that in your mind, that having a Sri Chakra at home is going to bring in certain manifestations or results, I'm very sorry to say that is a very, very, very wrong understanding, actually. If it has to really become a product to yield results, there is a lot of things that needs to be done, actually, in a very technical and a systematic manner. But if you're awe inspired, if you're fascinated, if you have pure intentions of knowing it, worshipping it, then nobody can stop you. You get it, you keep it. But remember the previous slide, what I mentioned. You have to do that in a very, very systematic manner. If you can do that, you get it. Otherwise, it is not needed. We are establishing a Sri Chakra in our Pitam. You continue to learn all the methods, the kramas, you sustain in this learning. You can come to Pitam, and then you perform the pujas with your own hands in our Pitam, or the Sri Chakra from our Pitam might land up at your place or at a very common place, and you do the Aradhana to the Sri Chakra. That is what is the intention behind the Pratisthāpana, which we are doing in our Pitam. So that you all, being the Vidyarthis of Mahavidyalaya, those who are all associated, you can be benefited. So, moving forward, so answering this in a simple sense, you learn the scriptures, you sustain in the path of sadhana, and you years together, you keep growing. Everything will happen in a very systematic manner. This is what I would like to say. So, the most important way to conclude this, what I'm trying to say, is that Sri Chakra is worship is not about fear at all, students. If I do anything wrong, is that something going to be a mistake or I'll be punished? No, it is about, please make a note of this in your mind and also wherever you want. The worship of Sri Chakra is all about relationship, reverence, method, and maturity. This is what is the very important essence of understanding the worship of Sri Chakra. Let me repeat it once again to you. The worship of Sri Chakra is all about the relationship, the reverence, relationship plus reverence plus the method. The method is what? The Krama, the Sri Krama, Kali Krama, whatever the Kramas we talk about actually, the Krama, and then the maturity that comes in with the relationship, reverence, and the method that we have practiced systematically over a period of time or years together. That maturity that comes in is what is very essential. So if you're very new and listening to me, keep the practice simple and sincere. Learn the Shastras slowly and correctly. Avoid mixing random mantras. Don't be desperate for mantras. Don't hunt or shop for mantras. And treat Sri Chakra as a sacred teacher and not a quick tool. I hope it is clear to all of you. Now, let me talk about the Sri Chakra as a map of inner transformation, where I will explain it as what is the Avarna Puja, meditation, and modern healing, what they mean in different dimensions with the understanding of Sri Chakra. Avarna Puja is not simply external ritual, students. It is the internal meditation. It is external ritual training to the mind to perform an internal movement correctly. This is something very important. Therefore, the Tantra Shastras assume that the mind is embodied, attention needs structure, transformation happens in stages, not by sudden transcendence. Therefore, Sri Chakra is graded descent and ascent of awareness from surface life to the deepest core and back into life again. So let me put it by one of the different avarnas. The Bhupura. The Bhupura is actually the outer square, that is a Trilokya Mohana Chakra. In the traditional description, I would say that the square enclosures with three lines. It is guarded by yoginis. The entry gate is to the sacred space, and the inner transformation it deals with is the boundary making, the psychic safety, and the distinguishing sacred from the casual. It teaches the mind not everything deserves my attention. The worldly reality that it maintains is overstimulation, social pressure, emotional intrusion, and lack of energetic boundaries. And the puja meaning that comes in is Bhuta Shuddhi, Dikpala Samskaras, and asking permission to enter the sacred space. And the modern healing parallel is grounded practices, trauma informed security and safeties, nervous system regulation, and therapeutic container. This is the way the modern healing talks about the Trilokya Mohana Chakra. And the insight is people meditate without first stabilizing the boundaries, leading to anxiety or dissociation. And the Bhupura actually prevents this. This is the meaning of the Sri Chakra at the Trilokya Mohana Chakra level, that is the first avarna. Now, the second one, the Sodasha Dala Padma, the 16 petal lotus, or the Sarvasha Paripuraka Chakra, it is called as. The traditional description is it's a seat of desires and energies, fulfillment of worldly aspirations. The inner transformation is this layer addresses unacknowledged desires, the security in thinking, and the emotional hunger. Tantra does not suppress the desires, it actually clarifies it. The worldly reality is career ambitions, relationships, money anxiety, and the need for recognition is all a part of this avarna. And the puja and the tarpana is offering of, the avarna puja is the softening the grasping and bringing unconscious drives to the awareness. And in the modern healing understanding, it is motivational psychology, emotional acknowledgement, the parts of the work related to self worthy and stabilization. And the insight we get from this avarna is unseen desire becoming obsession, seen desire becoming choices. Now let's go to the Ashtadala Padma, the eight petal lotus, the Sarvasankshobhana Chakra. The traditional description is stirring forces, activation of energies, and dynamic movement. And the inner transformation this avarna works on emotional turbulence, reactivity, and the fight and the flight patterns. The worldly reality is conflict, anger, passion, and anxiety. And the puja meaning that comes out is controlled invocation of intensity, channeling power rather than suppressing it. And the modern healing parallel is the somatic release of which biology talks about, the trauma discharge, the breath work that we do in terms of the inhalation and the exhalation, and the emotional regulation. And the insight that we get from the Sarvasankshobhana chakra is Tantra does not intensify the fear, it teaches how it holds it without being consumed. Now let's go to the next one, the Chaturdashara, the 14 triangles, the Sarvasaubhagyadayaka chakra. The traditional description is the convergence of the karmic forces, the transformation of fortune. The inner transformation it talks about is habitual patterns, repeated life loops, and karmic conditions. And the worldly realities it deals with is what is happening, the family patterns, cyclical relationships, and self sabotage. And the puja and the tarpana meaning is also to acknowledge the karmic forces and offering them consciously instead of unconscious way of acting them out. And the modern healing parallels are nothing but the patterns to recognize agency of restoration and reframing narrative, and also the neuroplasticity in which we deal our life with. And the insight is karma is not fate, it is an unseen habit with momentum. Number five, the Bahir Dashara or the outer triangles, which is the Sarvartha Sadhaka Chakra. The inner transformation this aspect of the Sri Chakra deals with is executive function, willpower, and decision clarity. And the worldly reality is leadership, responsibility, and ethical action. And the puja meaning here is training intentional action, not impulsive reactions. And the modern parallels that we derive is goal setting, cognitive clarity, and value alignment. And the number six, the sixth of the Avarna, the Antar Dashara or the inner 10 triangles, which is the Sarva Rakshakara Chakra, is all about the inner transformation deals with psychological immunity, inner protection, and integrity. The world reality deals with is burnout, the prevention, emotional resilience, and boundary maintenance. And the modern parallel for healing it deals with is stress resilience, self-regulation, and the nervous system coherence. And number seven, the Ashtakona, the eight triangles deal with Sarvaroga Hara Chakra. The inner transformation deals with healing fragmentations, mind body integrations. And the worldly realities deal with psychosomatic illness, chronic stresses that we undergo, and the identity fatigue that we constantly undergo. And the modern parallels for healing is psychosomatic healing, mind body mission and its understanding, and the integration is all about holistic health. And the eighth, the Trikona, that is a central triangle, which is the Sarvasiddhi Prada Chakra, deals with the inner transformation. The it deals with witnessing ego softening, and the presence. And the worldly reality deals with is creative insight, authentic leadership, and non reactive leadership. So, the modern parallel that we arrive is mindfulness, the flow of states, and the peak integration that we require even when we are highly pressured. And ultimately, number nine, the Bindu, the point where Devi is there and we are merging with her, is Sarvanandamaya Chakra, is all about the inner transformation, talks about silence, non duality, and rest. And the worldly reality is the meaning that we derive from everything that we are doing, the equanimity and the space that we have for our own self, and grace in action. And the modern parallel ways of healing talks about existential ways of well being, pure awareness, and non dual conclusion. In simple, Sri Chakra deals with every aspect of our life. If I have to say it in that sense, it has no space which can say that, Sri Chakra doesn't deal with that particular aspect. You talk about it, it is there in the avarnas actually, because it is all about this world and beyond this world actually. So nothing is beyond Sri Chakra. You know, everything is inside Sri Chakra. At the same time, nothing is there inside the Sri Chakra. That is the beauty of it. And that is a transformation we are supposed to lead. And this is what you are supposed to understand. This is the faith you are supposed to get, students. You know, you we might think that whatever we are facing at this moment in our life is something so unique. My pressures are so unique, my troubles are so unique, my problems are so unique. But trust me, the Sri Chakra knows what it is. Devi knows what it is. The only thing is that you need to align with it so that you can heal actually. The healing energies are in the Sri Chakra, and we should know how to align it. And that alignment is all about the Pratishtapana that we are doing in our Peetham. The only thing is that you need to sustain, you need to connect, and you need to reverberate to this entire process. And once you do that, you might be in Delhi, you might be in Bombay, you might be in Calcutta, you might be in US or wherever it is, and your Sri Chakra, that is your Mahavidyalaya, your Peetham is in Chennai, and the Sri Chakra is here. You can connect it with the cosmic waves actually. The moment you think about the Sri Chakra, you will connect with it. And that is what is the understanding we are trying to derive here. And that is the way we heal actually, because you need to first and foremost believe that anything and everything is possible by the grace of Parashakti, because everything is in her control and she's the one who is doing and dealing with everything and not me. And that understanding is very essential for the worship of Sri Chakra. So the key conclusion which I am going to give you all is Avarna Puja is an embodied meditation. Meditation is internalized puja. This is what you have to understand. Let me tell you once again. Avarna Puja is embodied meditation, and meditation is internalized puja. The difference is not what is happening, but how structured and transmitted the process is. Modern healing often talks about work on one layer at a time, but Tantra says integrate all the layers simultaneously with ethical and devotional grounding. So, therefore, the Sri Chakra's sacred geometry prevents spiritual bypassing, prevents ego inflation, and prevents premature transcendence. So, one final line or a punchline, if I have to give to the beginners, you slowly become capable of holding what it reveals. That is, you connect, you learn, you meditate, and you be as you are. That will help you to progress. This is all about the Pratishthabhana that we are doing in our Peetham, and we will look into the Śrīkrama in Sri Chakra Upasana and what it means in a detailed manner in the next lecture. Let me end the lecture with Namaskarams to Devi. ॐ सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरि नारायणि नमोऽस्तु ते जयन्ती मङ्गला काली भद्रकाली कपालिनी दुर्गा क्षमा शिवा धात्री स्वाहा स्वदा नमोऽस्तु ते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सर्वं श्रीचण्डी महालक्ष्मी अर्पणमस्तु तथास्तु Thank you so much. See you in the next.